So just up the hill here, you can actually see the folly. So we're in the Clogher Valley on a hill, and we find this here, Brackenridge's folly. His name was actually Trimble, and he fancied himself as upper class. He was a self-made man of his day, which is quite unusual. He was independently wealthy. So he wanted in death for the wealthy to look up to him. Thus, he set about building this tower, a three-storey telescope-style building topped with a railed parapet, built over a vault in which he was buried. Now, his body was placed in the innermost of 3 coffins, and they were broken into in the 1920s originally by the Black and Tans, who took rings and watches and chains as souvenirs. Up until the Second World War, and the GIs came looking for treasure and basically took a pickaxe to the monument and unearthed his bones. What would you do if your tenant farmers couldn't pay? Well, very simply, use his power over his tenants to have sex with the tenants' wives. Now, the construction of the tower and the road that actually led up to it gave some employment during the famine, so he couldn't have been all that bad. The wealthy farmer that built this did so because he was vain and he couldn't have his wicked way with all the tenant farmers he wanted to. They didn't think much of him, and at the other end of the scale, the landed gentry and the aristocracy who he aspired to associate with, well, they weren't much interested in him. The folly of Victorian man knows no bounds, with buildings like this, which are incredibly weird to see on the horizon. They stand often in the middle of nowhere for no reason whatsoever, and that, in effect, is the sole purpose of them.